A biscuit cracked a molar?
Yes.
And you're suing in the amount of $4,500.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
As a young man named Liam Johnson stands before the bench, looking a bit uncomfortable. Across from him is Cynthia Smith, who has a calm expression that suggests she is confident in her defense. Judge Lauren Lake re-enters, signals everyone to sit, and looks down at the details of the new case.
Good day, everyone. Mr. Johnson, you're suing Ms. Smith for personal injury damages.
Liam Johnson explains that he is suing Cynthia Smith for $4,500. He claims that he cracked his tooth after biting into one of her vegan biscuits at a local music festival.
We were looking for something to eat that was vegan. I had consumed a biscuit that she had prepared, and it cracked and split my molar right in half.
He says it was his 25th birthday, and he was out celebrating with friends at the Alabama Music Blues Festival.
During my 25th birthday celebration, some friends and I had visited the Alabama Music Blues Festival.
Liam wants to emphasize that they were looking for vegan food options and stumbled upon Cynthia's booth. He mentions that he and his friends had been enjoying a few drinks that day, which added to the festive spirit. He insists that all he ate at that time was one of Cynthia's biscuits and gravy meals. Shortly after taking a bite, he felt a sharp pain in his mouth. He later realized that his molar was badly cracked and would need serious dental work.
A biscuit cracked a molar?
At the time, there were some drinks consumed, so it did not feel as worse as it later would have felt.
When the judge asks about the specifics, Liam says he first thought he could just shake it off because of the drinks. But the pain got worse and worse until he finally left the festival. He went to a dentist who told him that something very hard must have caused such a break.
The doctor's reference.
The dentist told me that I would have had to bite down on something or a hard object to cause such a deep crack.
This leads Liam to claim that the biscuit either contained a hidden piece of something or was baked so hard that it caused the damage
in the crown and split the remaining tooth that I would need an extraction and dental implant.
He describes the cost of the dental procedure that he now faces, including an extraction and an implant, all of which adds up to more than $4,000.
And you're suing in the amount of $4,500 today.
Yes.
Cynthia, standing confidently, tells the judge that she does not own the food truck.
So you don't own the food truck?
I do not own the food truck.
But was hired to work there, serving her well-known vegan biscuits and gravy.
And I was serving my famous biscuits and gravies.
She says she takes great care to sift her flour thoroughly, making sure there are no lumps, stones, or foreign objects.
When I'm shifting the flour, I shift the flour carefully to make sure there is no foreign objects.
She is proud of her careful process and even mentions that she kneads the dough herself. She is certain there was nothing inside that biscuit that could crack a molar.
There is no way I'm responsible for what happened to Mr. Liam's tooth.
Unless the molar was already weak or damaged. She also points out that people at festivals typically sample a variety of snacks, especially if they have been enjoying a few drinks. She says it is unfair to single out her biscuits when Liam might have munched on other foods.
And there are other foods there that can cause your tooth to be cracked.
She also saw him and his friends acting rowdy and possibly smoking weed, which might lead to the munchies and random snacking throughout the festival.
Because he was eating other food from the festival, because they sit very close to my stand, and they were smoking weed and being rowdy.
Liam denies eating at any other stands, saying Cynthia's biscuits and gravy were the only things he tried at that time. Cynthia raises an eyebrow and insists she saw him and his friends move around the festival, grabbing food from nearby places. She recalls seeing them laughing, holding different food items, and taking bites here and there. She believes wholeheartedly that he cannot blame his dental issue on her biscuits. She adds that her biscuits are actually soft once they are done. Baking, thanks to her special recipe and method of preparation. She questions how a soft vegan biscuit could break a tooth so severely. Judge Lake asks Liam if he brought any real proof from his dentist. He presents a note he wrote down, summarizing what his dentist supposedly told him. The judge asks if he has an official document from the dentist stating that the biscuit was the exact cause of the crack. Liam admits he does not. The judge looks a bit disappointed, explaining that in a case where someone is seeking thousands of dollars, it is important to have official medical records or a statement from the dentist in writing. Liam insists that the note is accurate, and that the dentist told him there had to be a rock-like substance, but he never asked the dentist to put that in a formal letter for court. As she reviews the note, Judge Lake points out that it merely says Liam's tooth was cracked by something hard. It does not specifically confirm that Cynthia Smith's biscuit was the culprit. She raises the possibility that Liam's tooth was already weakened, or that he might have chewed on ice or something else at the festival. She notes that in festival environments, people often eat all sorts of food, sometimes from multiple stands. in a single afternoon. She also mentions that chewing ice or other hard items could lead to a cracked tooth. Without more conclusive proof, the judge is not inclined to put the entire blame on Cynthia. Liam tries to argue that there is no way it happened from anything else, since he was specifically looking for a vegan option and only ate that one biscuit at that time. He also says that while he may have had a few drinks, he is certain he did not consume anything else between leaving the biscuit stand and feeling the tooth crack. Cynthia says she is convinced he was not paying much attention to what he ate or drank that day. She hints that his memory might be hazy because of the festive atmosphere. She claims she saw him with a different kind of food in his hand. Maybe from a neighboring stall, although she cannot be absolutely certain because she did not follow him around. She only knows she saw him holding something that looked like it did not come from her stand. When the judge asks if Cynthia has any witnesses or photos from that day, she says she does not. She mostly relies on her strong reputation for careful cooking. She stresses that she has served countless people at fairs and festivals with no similar complaints. Liam, becoming a bit desperate, explains that the pain and subsequent dentist bill have been a huge burden. He reminds the judge he is only 25 and had hoped to enjoy his birthday. Instead, he ended it in agony, leaving the fair earlier than he planned. He says the dentist estimated the replacement tooth would cost thousands, which is why he settled on the amount of $4,500 in damages. Judge Lake takes a moment to summarize the arguments. Liam says he was at a festival, purchased a vegan biscuit and gravy dish from Cynthia Smith, bit into something that cracked his molar, and now faces a large bill. Cynthia insists that her biscuits could not cause such a severe break, and that Liam might have eaten something else or had a pre-existing issue. She states she has an excellent reputation for baking, and that she sifts the flour very carefully, making a hard object inside the biscuit highly unlikely. Judge Lake acknowledges that Liam has some evidence in the form of a written summary of the dentist's findings, but it is not a professional statement on letterhead or an official record. She explains that, in court, the burden of proof lies with the plaintiff. Liam must show strong, credible proof linking the biscuit to his broken tooth. Liam tries to argue that the cost alone should prove his sincerity. He says it does not make sense to walk around blaming random vendors unless he truly believed the biscuit was responsible. Cynthia, remaining calm, says that even if he truly believes it, belief is not the same as proof. She reiterates that he spent the day celebrating and might have consumed other items, including drinks that contained large cubes of ice. She also mentions that some people have teeth that crack unexpectedly if they already have a cavity or a minor fracture. In other words, she believes it could be any number of factors. As the case winds down, Judge Lake points out that these legal decisions must be based on facts and evidence, not merely on someone's claims. Because Liam does not have official dental records explicitly stating the biscuit was responsible, and because it is reasonable to suspect other causes, she cannot order Cynthia to pay him thousands of dollars. She knows how painful a cracked tooth can be, and expresses sympathy for Liam's ordeal. However, sympathy is not enough to hand down a judgment in his favor. She has to deny his claim. Liam looks crestfallen as he hears this. He shakes his head and tries to protest that the fairness of the situation should be considered. The judge remains steady in her reasoning, explaining that the key to a personal injury claim is establishing clear responsibility. Without definitive evidence, the Iowa court cannot make Cynthia pay. Cynthia sighs with relief, saying she is glad the judge saw reason. She mentions that she prides herself on the quality of her food, and if a person had genuinely found something that caused damage, she would want to know. But she is certain her biscuits are soft enough to be safe. Liam, feeling defeated, accepts the judge's decision, though he still believes in his heart that her biscuit was to blame. The judge calls for order and concludes that the case is resolved in favor of Cynthia Smith, ruling that Liam is not entitled to the $4,500 he requested. The bailiff announces that the court is adjourned. People in the gallery begin to stand up. Cynthia gathers her things and calmly walks out, relieved that the judge dismissed the suit. Liam follows behind, cradling his jaw gently, a reminder of the tooth problem he will have to fix on his own. Onlookers in the hallway speculate whether Liam truly had a bad biscuit, or whether it was just an unfortunate coincidence. Cynthia overhears. One or two people whisper that it is a shame about his broken tooth, but they agree you cannot pin it on the food truck without proof. As the day ends, Judge Lauren Lake's message rings clear yet again. Evidence is crucial in any legal dispute, especially when large sums of money are at stake. Even though Liam's tooth is in bad shape, the court requires official statements and verifiable facts to establish liability. Simply suspecting that the biscuit caused the damage is not enough. Cynthia walks away, reminding herself to continue her careful baking routines so nobody can ever accuse her food of containing anything harmful. Liam leaves with the weight of a dental bill on his shoulders, forced to come to terms with the court's decision. Although these stories are quite different, one about a neighborhood cat problem and the other about a potentially harmful biscuit, they share a common lesson. When you come to court, you need solid evidence to back up your claims. Emotions run high, and it is understandable that both the neighbor dealing with a cat invasion and the man whose tooth was cracked might feel wronged. But at the end of the day, it comes down to personal responsibility and proof. Bart learned that neighbors do have the right to guard their property from roaming animals, and Liam learned that if he cannot definitively tie his injury to a vendor's food, he cannot expect a court to rule in his favor. After the second case wraps up, the camera pans over the nearly empty courtroom. The judge stands up to exit, ready to move on to whatever her next case might be. Liam and Cynthia take separate routes out of the building, each with very different emotions. Those who spent the day watching the proceedings leave with a renewed sense of how the law seeks fairness, but demands evidence in return. Some might still wonder if there was truly something in that biscuit, or if Liam's tooth just cracked at the worst possible moment. But in the eyes of the court, the matter is settled, leaving Liam to face his dental bills alone, and Cynthia free to keep selling her vegan biscuits with a clear conscience. And so ends the story of the broken tooth and the disputed biscuit, reminding everyone that even when you believe you are completely right, a court of law requires more than just a good story or a sincere belief. Proof is everything. Judge Lake's fairness and insistence on real evidence might seem frustrating to those who lose, but it is exactly how justice is meant to work. It is a firm reminder that while a person's word matters, so does an official record or a clear indication of fault. Without it, a claim cannot stand, and the verdict must go to the defendant, no matter how unfortunate the outcome may feel.